Okay, this is our second video in the Rhino and Lumion workflow, and I want to take you into Lumion and just kind of describe more about what we're seeing as we work in this view. So the first thing to note is that if your computer is not very powerful or it didn't meet the minimum benchmarks, you might want to go into your settings and just change a few things. So the first thing I would do is just take the editor quality down to medium or high instead of the super high quality. Just see what works best with your computer. You may even need to go all the way to the bottom with low, but it's not a super big deal. It just means you're not going to have a super accurate preview of what everything looks like. So I'll just pop mine down to medium quality. The editor resolution, that I'll tell you about that more later, but you can turn that down to 50% or 66% or something like that. I'll put mine down to 50%. Then use proxies is a way for Lumion to replace detailed models with kind of like thumbnail images of detailed models instead of the real ones, which saves you memory. So you'll probably want to turn that on, or you can leave it on auto and Lumion would do that automatically if necessary. And then you can turn off the high quality trees. That will save you some memory as well. Also make sure auto update preview is turned off. I'll tell you more about this setting later, but this will help you kind of flow through the build mode a little bit easier. Now, what is build mode? Build mode is when we're in this little person shoveling a pile of dirt mode. So if I click back to build mode, this will take us back to our model. And you see there's a big difference in the quality preview that I can see. Everything is a lot more pixelated than it was before. And that's just to save on memory. So you still get a good idea of what things are looking like, but you won't have really detailed shadows. Everything will be a little bit less crisp. But as long as you can still apply materials and kind of basically envision where you're looking, this should be fine for you. All right, some of these other icons over here, I'll just go through them really quickly. This is where you will take your render views. So this is the window. It's like a little viewport into your model. And you can use the same commands as we use to navigate the model. So you can use E to lower your camera, Shift E to go a little bit quicker. And let's say you're taking a view over here at the entry plaza towards the splash pad. So you see it has the rule of thirds as you rotate around as you're pressing down the right mouse button. That's really awesome. It gives you an opportunity to sort of preview what your composition will look like so that you can place important elements within those crosshairs as you're working. Down here you have your camera. So this will allow you to set the eye level to 1.6, which is really handy. So that's basically going to measure 1.6 meters above whatever is the surface that you're currently on. So it's not from the ground plane in Lumion, it's actually from the surface of the model that you're currently on. So that's really helpful. You never have to worry if your camera is too high or too low. You can just click this little button, set eye level at 1.6, average height of a human, and you'll know that you're basically at eye level. This one is going to make it horizontal. So you see it just did a little adjustment there to make it so that the horizon is perfectly in the center. And we can change that in our effect stacks later, but for now let's just set it to horizontal as well. This is the angle of the lens length. So in Rhino, if you watch the tutorial, one of the very first ones talked about setting our cameras to different lens lengths. We usually want to keep it within a range of 18 to 28 millimeters. So you can use the slider to set that. And if you want to make it more precise, just double click within the slider and you'll see that the number becomes highlighted in red. And then you can use backspace or delete to take away those numbers and put in a value that you want. So then it will set it to that value. Now, if you were happy with this view and you wanted to use it as a render base, you would just go down here to slot number 1 and click Store Camera. And it's going to do a little shutter click to let you know that you have saved that view. And later, if you move around in the model and then you come back, you will return to that view. It's basically a saved named view. We're going to go over what this area is a little bit later, but for now, it's just enough to know that this is where you're going to save all of your views for rendering later. It's called photo. of course, you can save multiple views. So if you navigated somewhere else in the model and we're taking another view over here, then you would set your camera to eye level again, move over to wherever you want your view to be, set it horizontal, and now you can change this if you want to, or you can leave it the same as it was before and save another view. So now you have view 1 and view 2. They're both saved at the same outputs, same eye level and horizontal. Now, if you wanted to be a super tall person, you could put in 1.8. If you wanted to be a shorter person, you could put in 1.5. Depends on how you want your eye level to be set, but the standard is always 1.6. All right, over here is the movie mode. This is where you can create animations, and I'm going to cover more about this in a future tutorial that's probably going to be outside of this class. So just know that this is where you will create film clips if you're creating an animation, for example, a sun study or a fly-through. Over down here is the 360 Panorama, and this is a really cool mode. It basically means you can create virtual reality panoramas that could be viewed in a headset like an Oculus Rift. And let's just store a camera here, and when you render it, it's going to start with this view, but it's going to basically render an orbit all the way around this entire view, and you'll end up with a 360-degree panorama. And this is where you're going to save your file. So right now is probably a great time to save the file. You can do a save as and save it into your Lumion folder. Remember, I always keep my files organized in the CAD 3D. I have my Lumion file, and I will just give it a name and save it there.